Welcome to Let's Learn A-Train 9. A-Train 9 is a railroad management and urban development simulator. This is akin to Cities in Motion and SimCity to a lesser extent. It's incredibly complex with a very steep learning curve, and really that curve is the biggest hurdle to really getting into this game at all. I had initially dismissed it as overly complex, but I gave it another shot and was able to have a good bit of fun with it, albeit it's very quirky controls and complex economic and development system for it. I'm going to start with the second scenario here. I felt it was easier for starting off versus Metropolis Plain or Ancient City. I can't imagine doing some of these much more difficult ones, but we'll go ahead, we'll start this up. So yes, A-Train 9 is a few years old, but just recently released on Steam. So our reports are optional, give you some clues on how to be successful with this town. In this case, this is a pretty bare bones, from the ground up sort of thing for this town. And the first thing we're going to do here is muddle our way through the controls. You use the numpad to actually view around. That was a little bit of a sticking point. You can actually you can control your angle with the right mouse button, but you're still reliant on that numpad to move around the map, or you can use a mini map, both of which are pretty frustrating. First thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of build a loop around this city, having kind of a loop track will alleviate some of our traffic problems. Well, really, they don't really get into traffic problems so much in this game, more so just moving the flow of people around. So that's something that not so much covered in this game as you would see in Cities in Motion or SimCity. You use control. You can see that the control button brings up the height bar. In order to get over the roads, you have to be 20 meters up. It does add to the cost of the track being laid, so we want to avoid that as much as possible. And then it just automatically release control. It goes back down to ground level there. And we'll just work to get that loop around the city. And then we'll add stations in. So if you we want to just take a little bit of a note on what our city looks like right now, because that's actually going to change substantially. We can directly stimulate our city's growth by adding in train stations and other developments, but a lot of it's automatic. Now we're going to just make this a little bit smaller. We don't need a six car station at this point in time. We are going to add 2 platforms though. And we'll just add that in, and that's going to be for kind of future expansion. You want those extra platforms. You can see the green circles show their coverage area. I can tell we're not necessarily hitting up a lot of places with these new stations. That's because they will be they'll all be newly developed parts of our city. So laying roads ends up much the same as laying track. So we'll just go ahead, quickly reconnect everything. It's not crucial that everything be connected. Just a reasonable proximity is enough for development. It isn't enough for bus and truck transportation too, which we'll get into a little bit later. We got some sort of bay there, but yeah, we got a bus stop there. I'm just gonna level that bus stop for now because it's impeding our road placement. Notice all those farms? Farms do bring economic vibrancy to our little city, but on the other hand, they increase the amount we have to pay to build over them. And one other thing we need to think about is we make our profit off of the flow of traffic. So we actually would benefit from perhaps a small bedroom community for our city. We'll go ahead, we'll build out a little bit here. Easy as that. Whoops. And we'll also need a train. So you just go to the train menu, select a new train, and purchase it. Of course, we'll just go with the AR3. It's a good, simple one to work with. And next up, we need to start thinking about construction materials. Construction materials allow our city to grow. We already have one warehouse here. It's located right there, and one factory located right there. So we need to build. We have to have the construction materials actually on the warehouse, not at the factory. So we're going to need a few warehouses and a few construction material facilities. You don't really want to go to the small warehouses. They're a little bit, they don't have the capacity you don't necessarily need. So we'll go ahead, place a warehouse there. We'll place a warehouse there. And since we're developing this new section here, we'll build a small just road here, and we'll add a warehouse here. Use the arrow keys to adjust the rotation of the buildings. Next, we're going to need the actual material factories. And we'll burn through materials really quickly. I'm going to go ahead, put a materials factory just right there. And we need a place for a truck to actually pick up these materials. So we'll just, and those are listed under stations and under loading bays. We'll go with the pull-in ones. They're a little bit better than the roadside ones. They already gave us a loading bay right there. We'll add a loading bay right here as well. I guess it'll have to be a roadside one. There we go. And similar case down in our new territory here. Oh. Like I said, the controls are a little bit quirky because you'll find yourself being pulled in all directions. And given this is going to be a hotbed for development here, I think I'll just go with a large factory. Hopefully I won't regret that. And next comes the actual trucks that we'll be using to haul those construction materials. So we're going to need a lot for the level of development we're doing. Got a nice little selection here of buses and trucks. Get more out of the large trucks. Except we will go with small truck for our spot right here. And go with a few large trucks. And that truck's actually just going to loop around in a circle, picking up materials as they're completed. And for these trucks, we're going to have to do a little bit different. We have to actually define our route. So this is another little tricky aspect to the game. The entrance to every intersection, you can define the route. In this case, we have to visualize how we want our trucks to flow throughout the city. So we kind of want a loop here. So we're going to go straight, straight. You can even set the traffic lights here. But we'll get into that later. Straight. We don't want to go left here. We want to go right. We want to go left. Or actually, I fouled that up. We actually want to go left here. Right there. That'll send us straight through to that factory. We will go right here. Left here. And right there. And that should give us the flow of materials that we want. So now it's just a matter of placing those trucks. We'll just place them going. Oh, we forgot an intersection. That one should be left. So these trucks will pick up goods. They'll make money for us. Not very much, though. And in fact, it ends up not necessarily being that profitable because what they are pulling is actually coming out of our expenses from our materials factory. So there we have it. Fairly simple loop here, and a new district under development. New train, and the beginnings of our construction materials logistics network that we will need to ensure further growth. In our next episode, we'll move forward, start using subsidiaries to bring us not so much profit, but to stimulate growth in our new areas. And hopefully we'll be en route to a profitable company. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you join me in the next episode.